the Isle of Man government is now under intense scrutiny, not just over anti-money laundering standards, but over the £90 million Lord Street redevelopment court case. As Expose News reports, this high-stakes legal battle exposes alleged failures in procurement, record-keeping, and governance, and could itself trigger a red flag during the upcoming MoneyVal assessment. In October 2026, MoneyVal inspectors will descend on the island to assess how well it fights financial crime. But the Lord Street saga may complicate their view from day one. In an Isle of Man Today piece, the FSA CEO, Bettina Roth, warned that being grey-listed cost another jurisdiction £38 billion, about 11% of GDP. She says one of the biggest predictors of success is whether the jurisdiction has a joined-up national approach. She explicitly urged the Isle of Man. A joined-up national approach has been highlighted as the single biggest factor in achieving a successful outcome. Roth also clarified the strategy. The island isn't aiming for a gold-plated regime. Instead, it must show that existing frameworks are effective without imposing undue burdens on industry. One glaring weakness flagged is the absence of civil penalties against individuals in serious regulatory breaches, an enforcement tool common elsewhere but not yet exercised here. Meanwhile, the IOM police reportedly have over 10 active international money laundering investigations. But the FSA observes that detection alone isn't enough. Regulators must show that systems are reliable and responsive. If the Lord Street case reveals serious structural or systemic lapses, such as the deliberate concealment of documents and government officers acting dishonestly, MoneyVal may interpret that as more than just a one-off scandal. It would be considered evidence of institutional weakness. Expose News warns that if failures are seen as structural rather than historical, the fallout could be permanent. Criticism has long come from inside the Isle of Man.
There is no such thing as the Isle of Man government. There are 8 departments of government, but they're all individual legal entities. But unless we change the way we deal with these things, we're going to keep failing.
On the subject of repeated failure, Robert Shaw specifically cites multiple attempts at the Lord Street site.
Yeah, we've tried 3 times and failed, and I think we're trying a 4th time. So in 30 years, we've tried 4 times to get that site developed, and each time we've failed. What's holding government back are these changes that should be made but which aren't being made. And Lord Street, or the nuisance site, and lots of other things, are simply manifestations of that.
He also outlines how strategic work must be separated from departments.
The second pillar requires each element of government to cease being a single legal or a legal entity in their own right, and for the departments to carry on remaining in existence, but sit within a unified government, a single legal identity. And in the process of doing that, it then allows our structure to be flexed and reassembled. And one of the things that would be necessary would be to take high-level strategic thinking and major project work out of the operating department. So, frankly, they can get on with the job of the day-to-day duties that they've got to deliver good services to the people of the Isle of Man. They are not capable of dealing with strategic matters in isolation.
Manx Taxpayers Alliance founder Michael Josem offers this warning about fiscal risk.
So the Isle of Man government is currently drawing down its deficit, and the amount varies from year to year, but it's a big chunk of money. And this is a government that is spending more than it is able to take. And the money that it is spending, as we've discussed in the case of the landing stage or the other white elephants that it chases, is not being spent particularly well.
Michael Josem flags that continual deficits get masked as balanced books, but they drain reserves over time.
And so we have a problem in the Isle of Man government whereby government officials see every problem as a lack of spending, whereas doing things such as having annual performance reviews for staff does not require meaningful expenditure. It requires government officials to do their job and to be held accountable.
Because the Lord Street case involves allegations of missing documents, tampered emails, and unlawful interference by government officials, it has become emblematic of governance risk. A previous Expose News story on the subject explained that the case exposes systematic failure in governance, record-keeping, and procurement, and warns that it may already be raising alarms for MoneyVal. If the court requires a payout in the order of £90 million, that would strain reserves earmarked for pensions and public services, forcing budget cuts or borrowing. Expose News analysts warn this could shake both financial stability and external confidence. For MoneyVal, a jurisdiction struggling under high liabilities and exposed legal risk may be seen as much more vulnerable to financial crime. The Lord Street case could become the trigger point in their evaluation. The £90 million Lord Street liability looming over the Isle of Man government is not a tangential embarrassment, it is a crucible. If the island cannot credibly manage that liability and demonstrate strong internal controls, it's not just a legal wound, it's a direct signal to MoneyVal and the world that structural reforms are overdue. The Lord Street case isn't just a civil dispute, it could define the island's financial reputation for decades.